All right, welcome back to another episode of Friends from Work, a podcast about all things in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, hosted by myself, Kyle Sconowell, and my new dad friend, Robby Earl. Robby, congratulations. Take it away.
Hey, thanks.
I'm stepping off the mic.
I like to believe that when you call me your dad friend, you don't mean that I am your friend that is a new dad, but that I am like a hyphenated relationship to you. Like I am both your dad and your friend in the way that we interact.
I actually meant you're my dad's friend, Kevin. Kevin
Oh,
Sconowell.
fair. Okay. Yeah, which that sounds, your dad is awesome. So
My dad
that's
is
also
pretty cool,
a compliment.
actually. That's high praise right there.
Hey, I hope he watches this.
My dad only picks winners. Yeah, dude, go.
Yeah. What is today? Time's weird now. Today's November 11th. That's right. We had a baby on the 25th of October, 5 days after your birthday. So close.
Isn't it almost your birthday, by the way? I'm just realizing that. Aren't you in November?
Yeah, my birthday's the 22nd of November.
Okay.
I was thinking the other day, I wonder the little tidbits of information that I've given out like over the course of the last 6 years. I've never given out that much at one time, but I have wondered like if someone was a really motivated like identity thief, could they eventually? They probably could.
Don't tell them that if they figure out one password for me, it's every password that's ever been created.
It's password.
Yeah, correct.
It's been like
How
a
does it
vortex of a couple of weeks. Oh man, it feels awesome. It's also like I feel like lucky at the moment in that she's just been super easy. My little brother was born when I was in high school, and so I did a lot of kind of early baby day stuff with him, but he was in the NICU for a while, and then he got out and just kind of had some issues eating and sleeping. And so like I kind of had this, like I know that the early weeks are not the most intense anyway, but whenever he got back, they kind of were. So I had this thing in my mind as like, I'm about to dive into the trenches for the next couple of weeks, and it's going to be brutal. And I know that there will be brutal moments because again, I've remember some of those stages, but this stage has been really nice because she just kind of like sits there and watches the ceiling fan, which she's a big fan. It's
dad jokes. He's alive.
Jokes.
Let's go.
No, it's been
it's
she and
working.
Candace are both doing great.
It's working.
It's been a really nice time. It's also just kind of been nice to step away from things for a second and kind of just spend a day kind of just holding a baby and not really. I mean, it's wild how quickly the days have been going by when we're not really doing all that much other than just kind of like responding to whatever she's needing. But she's like so content generally that we just kind of wind up staring at her for a long time, which is, cool. And yeah,
the first hurdle's
I'm
been
very grateful.
The first hurdle's been cleared in that everything went smoothly, everyone's safe, healthy.
Yeah,
so that's something to be thankful for, no doubt.
Oh, for sure. And she was like, I think kind of in the sweet spot in terms of when she came. Like it was 4 days before her due date. And so she was like right at 7.5 pounds, like kind of the perfect sweet spot. It is funny because she just hit 8 pounds at our last pediatrician appointment. And that was, I think, 2 weeks after she was born, and I was born 3 weeks early and was 8 pounds 4 ounces.
Ooh.
So it does put it into I think at certain points Candace and I were talking about like the possibility of her having like a monster baby, and so it wasn't that, which is nice. She's progressing at a normal, not like freakish rate like her dad. So,
well, that's so good. It made me very happy. She's very cute. You're in for quite the journey now. So you're committed.
Now it's just
now,
like how quickly do I start trying to like subtly or not subtly shift her tastes towards the things that I really need her to be invested in? That's the question.
I'm constantly legitimately riding the line of nature and nurture. It's hard to know sometimes. Like my daughter really likes to sing, for example. Is that because she's around music all the time, or is that because it's just in her? You know what I mean? Like our house is probably more musical than the average house in that way. So I don't know. You definitely do steer in some directions, but some of it you just, they're born with,
Yeah.
You'll see. I mean, it's what's fun is everyone says this, but each phase has its pluses, right? Like you're kind of sad. You'll be sad when the baby phase is gone for some reasons, but then you'll just realize there's a different thing that's just as beautiful, So that's the fun part about it.
Yeah. And, I've already started her rewatching through the MCU. So,
good. Good.
She's taking it in by osmosis. That's the
good.
That's the first step.
I saw that Thor: The Dark World released last week, like 11 years ago or something. So she could probably jump on that train pretty soon and just get her started with the classics right off the bat.
I mean, she's already seen it. We're cranking right along. We're cranking right along.
Okay, so that's a perfect transition because we're going to get to some hodgepodge MCU type stuff. There hasn't been any new MCU content. In some ways, you planned this parental leave at the best possible time because there literally hasn't been anything. You haven't missed anything. Yeah. So welcome back. You've missed nothing.
Nice.
But we have a hodgepodge of TV, film, MCU thoughts that we want to share today. So today's episode is going to be all over the place. With Fantastic Four releasing on Disney Plus last week, I think November 5th, I want to say, 6 days ago, as we sit here today, I think. Mm-hmm. We thought a really fun way to celebrate that would be to play a portion of our interview that you did with Ryan North, comics creator, who is currently working on Fantastic Four, but more importantly, in terms of this podcast, he got to visit the Fantastic Four set. So actually, if you go to YouTube and you check out Marvel's page, you can find a behind the scenes of a time when they brought all these different writers in to visit the set and legitimately ask them questions about the set and the movie. And like Ryan talks about having a conversation with Vanessa Kirby where she's asking him, what do you think Sue would think about this or whatever? So literally a comics writer who has influence on how the movie turned out. So a pretty cool conversation you're not going to want to miss. Robby, before we play a clip of it, why don't you set it up a little bit more?
Yeah, we're collecting all of our favorite Canadian comics writers here. Between Chip and Ryan, who both went on that set tour. This is one that I've been really excited about trying to make happen for a while. Ryan and I have been emailing back and forth and both had really crazy summers. Ryan's was crazy in part because he I think went to the red carpet or the blue carpet for Fantastic Four. He was doing a bunch of convention stuff. But this year was a really big one for him, which made me happy because he's a writer that I've followed for a long time. People will kind of know that he broke on to the scene with The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl back in the day, which is an incredible comic with Erica Henderson. But more recently, he has been writing the main Fantastic Four book for the last few years, and it's just been one of my favorite ongoing comics at Marvel. it's so different from like the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four, which is the kind of like sprawling building saga. It's much more in the vein of like the original kind of Stanley, Jack Kirby, one and done kind of thing, where every issue, for the most part, there are some that are longer, but you kind of have these like one and done short stories. So I've been following that for a while and I've really enjoyed it. But more recently, he's kind of out of that, been writing the One World Under Doom kind of massive Marvel crossover, which is sort of their big tentpole thing of the year. And has been just finished writing the Crypto miniseries for DC. And so with all of that in mind, this is kind of like the year of Ryan North in terms of pop culture synergy. He's doing crypto stuff. He's doing Doctor Doom stuff, and
you might even say he's the North Star.
Wow, there you are. See, the dad jokes go both ways now. Yeah,
pretty cool.
He's just like, he's a delightful guy, and I should just say, because it's fun for me, there are 3, main, not like ultimate series Marvel comics that I am following week to week and get no matter what. And right now that is Amazing Spider-Man with Joe Kelly, who we had on a couple months ago. Mm-hmm. It's Captain America by Chip Zdarsky, who we had on a couple months ago. And then now to have Ryan on, who's writing Fantastic Four, has been a real treat. So if you missed those interviews, go back and catch those. But right now, we'll listen to a little bit of this conversation with Ryan. And then we'll check back in after.
Yeah, I was going to say, logistically, we're going to play a few minutes of this conversation. If you want to hear the whole thing, I'm sure it will eventually make its way to YouTube. But right now on Friends from Work Plus, our listeners have heard the 1 hour and 8 minutes long interview of this whole thing. It's a great conversation. So if this wets your whistle, if you will, then go to Friends from Work Plus. Like I said, it'll probably eventually be on YouTube just because I want everyone to hear it eventually. But and then our patrons have had that. And then when we get back, some fun MCU things. All right, without further ado, here's Ryan North.
I do like that you have that bit of read. I think it was at the end of this last issue, being issue number 3, as we're recording this, where even after Reed is, they've gone through this process of dealing with this particular challenge that Doom is set up, and I'm not going to spoil it because it was a really great culmination of a lot of things you've been kind of building towards. But even after all of that, you still have Reed wanting to see Doom redeemed, and it feels like there's that kind of like space age optimism that's still built into Reed. Like in some ways, it seems like the Tony super genius is less a child of that era, even though he was also created in that era. Like it seems he's a little bit more. It makes sense to me that Iron Man kind of blew up in 2008. Whereas I think part of the reason I loved the recent Fantastic Four movie is that they finally felt like they could just do the thing that I think the Fantastic Four was also always supposed to do.
Yep.
Tonally.
Yep.
So I think, that makes sense that's kind of the worldview that you see Reed operating out of.
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful, maybe pure way of seeing the world, right? Because we all experience the world through ourselves. And Reed's experience of the world is someone who is curious about it, and he believes that there's good in everyone because he sees it in himself. And so when he is confronted by someone like Dr. Doom, who, has all these fundamental issues about him, he's like, yeah, but if you just get past that, if you just solve these things, there's a great man in there, and I see it. I want it to come out. It's optimistic, and that's the 60s retro future of flying cars and robot butlers and everything else. It's if we conquer our demons and can be our best selves, then we can build this perfect world for everyone. I don't think he's wrong. I think it's beautiful. And I love that he, despite, everything that's happened to Reed Richards and Dr. Doom, throughout the years, Reed still hangs this. I don't think Sue believes that Doom is redeemable. I think she hates his guts. I'm not sure Ben and Johnny are there, but Reed absolutely thinks that Doom can be redeemed, and he will never give up hope on him or on anyone. Like that's what makes Reed Richards great. Smartest man in the world, and he won't give up hope on anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's sort of like, it's like Captain America being both this kind of great strategist, but also really naive about certain things at the same time, and how those kind of seem at odds, but sometimes also work together. And I think that's sort of what makes him the leader that he is. And so, yeah, I feel the same way about Reed. I guess my actual last Fantastic Four question, as you were talking, you got to visit the Fantastic Four set.
I did.
And you're unique from the other folks that visited from Marvel Comics, because you were the one that was actually writing it as you were there. And I'm curious whether that, like, kind of walking in that world, so to speak, if that inspired you in any particular way, if you felt like you carried some element of that back to the writing process, or if it was just generally kind of a fun excursion.
I mean, me and Chip were giggling as we were walking through the sets, because it felt like they built them for me. Like, here's Retro Future's my favorite aesthetic, and here we are in these places that were real in that I could reach out and touch them, but were fake in that they didn't actually exist. Like, it takes a while to get used to that. These are full three-dimensional sets. And I don't know, it was a really, like a once-in-a-lifetime, very, very wonderful experience. In terms of taking stuff back, I remember I had a discussion, I was chatting with Vanessa Kirby, who plays Sue Storm, and she was saying, do you see Sue as more of a mother or a sister to Johnny? And others were saying mother, and I was like, I think it's sister. I think that she will tease him in a way that a parent can't. And Vanessa was saying, oh, that's interesting, because I just the scene with him, and I was feeling myself holding stuff back from him, and I was like, yeah, because he's your little brother. You gotta, like, jerk him around a little bit. So that conception of, sister or mother is something I hadn't really crystallized, and it came out of conversation with her, and I was like, that's terrific. The biggest one was in the arts department. Someone, and I wish I got their name because it's such a good line, someone said that the Fantastic Four are people who bring the slide rule and the scientific method to a gunfight. And I was like, that's right there. That's perfect.
That is a great line.
That crystallized exactly, like, who are these people? They are people who believe in science, and who believe that with mutual understanding of the universe we share, we can solve any problem.
Yeah. I mean, I love that movie ends not with a great, I mean, there is a battle element, but that's not really the original plan. The original plan is more like, it's escaping Galactus. It's finding this, even the, like, Archimedes lever, like it's a
big science experiment.
Yeah. It's so different from the way, like, an Avengers movie ends, where it's some great battle.
Yeah.
And it was probably, good to be on set with Pedro Pascal, because if he can make Reed Richards have a mustache, then surely you can let Johnny Storm have a mustache. I mean, we're 35 issues deep now of mustache Johnny.
Yeah, I love the mustache. The thing with the mustache is Johnny's first appearance in my run is issue 3, and he was undercover, so he had this mustache as Jonathan Fairweather. And that issue originally ended with him burning it off, shaving it off. And then I got the pages that Iban Coelho drew for this, and I had written, like, a Ned Flanders upper lip only mustache, and he had drawn this, like, Hulk Hogan trucker, like, big statement mustache, and I was like, that is incredible. And so I changed the script so he doesn't shave it off. It's been there the rest of the run, and it works for two things. It works as a character thing, because it is a choice, but it's a choice Johnny made. He has a confidence to have this unpopular facial hair and pull it off. It tells you that he thinks he's strong and great and handsome and all that good stuff. And in the Doyleist sense, it works because when people don't like what I'm doing, the first thing they complain about is the mustache. And it's such a good prank because like it doesn't sound like a credible complaint. You can just have him shave the mustache, so it instantly undermines it. They never get to Ryan's a bad writer because they're talking about this mustache a fictional character is wearing. So it's worked for two reasons. I didn't expect either of them, but I've observed that, and I think it's pretty terrific.
There's the genius. I will just say I'm not saying that I have a mustache because Johnny Storm has a mustache. I'm just saying I didn't have a mustache before Johnny Storm had a mustache. So,
I love it.
Take from that what you will.
So much of this phase right now feels like a prepping for next year, because I think next year's going to be so big in the MCU, and there's definitely a lot of work that needs to be done on the podcast front and on the MCU front to kind of lay that groundwork. So one of those things I've been working on is trying to work with panel-bound comics and maybe setting up some kind of, I think it'd be cool to have a homepage for Friends from Work. How cool would that be? That if you're on Friends from Work Plus and you want to track our Marvel Comics 101, like what books are we reading and where can you find them? It'd be sick to go to an actual Friends from Work page on panel-bound comics and then just get it from there. In the meantime, they're still the best comic provider, and they're a huge supporter of this podcast. So go to panelboundcomics.com and use our promo code Friends from Work to save some money. I am about to do that after we hang up to order our next book in our Marvel Comics 101 series, which is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And so I haven't ordered it yet, but it's coming. So telling all of you, if you want to read along with us, go order that book on Panelbound Comics.
I'm really excited to get your response to that one, because you liked to catch people up. So far, we've done Marvel's Spider-Man Blue and Daredevil Born Again.
And this doesn't count as part of the series, but we did set it up with a Hickman Fantastic Four comic too. That's not part of the 101, but we did read that one too.
Yeah. But I feel like Daredevil Born Again was one you particularly, you enjoyed all of them, which I love, but that one I think you liked that it had some clear analogs to the MCU.
That is what I liked about it. Yep.
So I think I'll be curious to see what you think about the original Winter Soldier saga, which was I guess about 10 years before the film adaptation.
Yep. Okay, I wanted to update people on our rewatch journeys just really briefly, and if there's been any new findings, because I know you kind of secretly started watching, as you mentioned, and you texted me. Here's what you texted me. I'm going to read the audience what you texted me. You did a short and sweet text that you had started a journey, and you said, I'm putting you out here. Oh, I went past it.
I should say that the reason I did this is not sent the text, but the reason I started, you started your rewatch a couple of months ago or weeks ago. And I had thought about restarting, in part because we had finalized the new watch order for the phase or phase 4, part 4, part 5 stuff. But I had thought it would be something that would be like fun to start right when we got her back from the hospital, because I figured we would have a long stretch. And so I started Captain America, the First Avenger, I think the first night she got back from the hospital.
Dude, heck yeah. Oh, see, that's the thing though. You have some of the time now that I don't have at this exact second, just because it's a lot of sleeping, eating, and pooping, and that's other than that, it's a lot of sitting around. So you can watch. I remember playing video games. Like I'd play Warzone where she was just in a basket next to me and I'm playing Warzone for hours on end, just hopping up for a bottle or whatever. So I guess I was talking about the groundwork being laid. I'm kind of rewatching with that being the mindset that I'm purposely, I think, slow playing it so that it's paced out longer before Doomsday, honestly, which is about a year from now. And so I have been doing two things, rewatching the MCU and replaying all of the Spider-Man video games on YouTube.
Nice.
in preparation for a brand new day. So I'm almost finished with the first one. Then I'm going to do the DLC, and I'm still going to do all of Miles, and then I'm still going to do all of the new one. But again, I'm not in a hurry with it. So we've kind of been watching like maybe one movie a week or maybe every other week.
Oh, nice.
And I'm okay with that pace. Over Christmas, I'm sure we'll watch a couple, and get further ahead. Here's what you texted me. You texted me, Cap 1, about the same. Captain Marvel, better than I remember. Iron Man, about the same, but still so good. Hulk, worse than I remember. Thor, worse than I remember. Avengers, obviously still slaps. Thor 2, about the same, in parentheses, perfect, obviously. Guardians of the Galaxy, better than I remember. Do you want to follow up on this at all?
Oh, man. Well, we have been cranking through, in part because like Candace has been encouraging this in some ways, because we're just sitting there and, the benefit of this is I've seen these movies so many times that I can have it playing and I can get up and change her diaper or like make her a bottle or whatever without even needing to pause it, because it's almost like listening to music at this point. And I'm just tracking whatever's happening. But so Candace, she was like, oh, well, what's the next movie we can put on? So I think we just watched Ant-Man. And let me think. So after Guardians.
Wait a second. Ant-Man, so you've passed me already now. You passed me. I'm on Guardians 2 after Doctor Strange.
Okay, so I just passed you.
That's so funny. Okay, you're flying.
It's the way it winds up working practically is we will often start one and then Candace will like go take a nap and then the baby will go to sleep like on my chest, and then the credits hit and Candace like comes out of the bedroom and the baby hasn't woken up yet, and so I've just kind of been sitting there watching a movie, which is great.
Sure.
But so after Guardians, Iron Man 3 is one that I feel like I've watched a lot recently. It was like on in our hotel on a trip not long ago. I think I watched it last Christmas. And that is one that like when we had Chip Zdarsky on, he actually said that is one of his favorites. And I do think that movie is it's just a really good Iron Man movie. Like,
I'm okay to pause there too, because I've been harder on that film. Like when we've talked about it, that's the one I'm like, I have a hard time rewatching. On my rewatch, that was one of the standouts for me. It is
okay, nice.
It's way more fun than I remember it being. It's funny. It's really funny. I started a list, by the way, of what are the funniest movies in the MCU. Just taking it, if you qualify by my subjective ranking, and I put Iron Man 3 on there. So far, I have Iron Man 2, Thor, Guardians 1, and Iron Man 3 so far on my list.
Yeah, I think looking back at kind of what was happening with the character, I think there were just so many good decisions made when it came to that movie. Tony's story increasingly becomes kind of the story of the MCU. So I think that as that's playing out over the Avengers movies, and especially once you get to like Age of Ultron and you're seeing how much he's motivated by this like desire to protect the world at all costs and how that moves forward into Civil War, I think it makes sense that one, we wouldn't really have any solo Iron Man movies after that, because I don't know what else you would do there. Like I kind of like the idea that for Tony, the Avengers have become what the Iron Man project was to him at the beginning. Like it's just sort of an expansion of that initial idea. So I like that being funneled there. So I think as this last entry, for it to kind of be this moment of him reconciling like who he is and was with like what's just happened in New York, I think it's a smart way of dealing with that. And I think it works really well in our rewatch kind of just right before Winter Soldier and Age of Ultron, because he has this conversation with Pepper about how he can't stop thinking about how he has to protect the things that matter most, and that's Pepper. And so I think like both on a thematic level, it works really well, but also it's just kind of a nice chance to get Tony at his like most unfiltered, like not irresponsible, like Iron Man 2 Tony, but just kind of like a little looser, a little like it's not quite so heavy. He's like feeling the weight of the world, but you get a little reprieve from that. And my last thing there is I really liked this time, having watched it so soon after Iron Man, that it's like, it's a reminder that even though we've now seen Tony like get all this crazy tech, that the whole thing about the first Iron Man movie is that he creates the suit in a cave with a bunch of scraps. So it's like it does make sense that if he winds up in a situation where he doesn't have a suit, he initially freaks out because he's like, well, what am I now without the Iron Man suit?
Right.
But I like that.
And by the end,
he
him
realizes,
saying, yeah, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Not
like,
the suit.
And it does feel like a nice kind of full circle moment in terms of the trilogy.
Yeah, I think I'm just way off on that movie because I agree with everything you said. And just the banter is so funny and endearing. Like the giant bunny, as they're arguing, at this point they've mastered, specifically Pepper and Tony, mastered the ability to talk over each other. And if you're listening to either part of the conversation, it's funny. It's equally funny, either one, if you listen to either answer. I loved it. Remember we used to give these movies clever names. The cheap trick and a cheesy one-liner is such a good line. Sweetheart, that could be the name of my autobiography. There's something so fun about Tony Stark as a character, always exuding the confidence, borderline narcissism, arrogance, that even in these stressful situations, he can still pull those quick-witted lines off, just make me so happy. He's like way too sure of himself. But then at the same time, the movie is wrestling with him really not being sure of himself. So deep down, he's insecure about it, but then he has all these, the stuff with the kid is really funny, and the one-liners there, really funny. Dude, I really liked it. So that was one of my big takeaways, legit. One of my other big takeaways is that, like what you texted, the classics are still extremely the classics. I think Iron Man 1 and Avengers and Guardians 1 will age perfectly forever. I know that they will always look a little bit different, but that is such a stamp of our culture, such a look at what that was like. And they're still funny, look awesome, so smart, creative, genius. So that was my second takeaway. Like, I can't believe how good those movies are. And I'm just with you. My third takeaway is how poor of a movie The Incredible Hulk is, I think. It not only looks bad, it's aged weird that way. It doesn't really even fit tonally or with kind of the story of what's going on. Not to mention they recasted the main character, so it doesn't really fit from that perspective. The plot really just doesn't do much at all, and some of the acting stuff is so far off that it's concerning at times. It's it's a tough part of the journey on the rewatch journey. It's frustrating to me. If it were Mark Ruffalo, I think I would feel a little bit differently. But it's that there's the recasting that disconnects things, and then I was hoping that Brave New World would do something to make that feel more essential, not just plot wise, but just kind of tie it all together in the way that we've talked about Endgame doing with certain prior projects. And because Endgame doesn't do anything with that stuff, right? Like that's one of the projects that Endgame kind of ignores. Leaves out there, yeah.
And like She-Hulk, I actually thought did a really great job with that. And even Shang-Chi to that point where it's like, okay, like Abomination still exists. They've referenced the battle in Harlem. Kind of all you need to know is that there is this guy that got transformed into a kind of pseudo Hulk and they fought. But Brave New World like tries to mine it, but if anything, it just kind of makes it all seem goofier to me, to where I'm watching The Incredible Hulk and I'm almost back to even in like taking into account Brave New World, I'm almost back to where we started with our initial rewatch in 2019, where I'm like, I think you can skip it. I think it's a skip, and it actually flows better.
If I was showing somebody for the first time, I think I would have him skip it just because it does. It takes a hit. Your journey takes a hit. And so if you have never seen this stuff, I don't want you to think this is what it's like. So if we can skip it, let's go ahead and skip it.
Even down to like the introduction of the Hulk in the Avengers is so good in that it's frightening. It's this thing where you're like, oh gosh, he's transforming into something, and you see how scared Natasha is. And
and so you wouldn't need to know the background. Yeah, you wouldn't need to know how he got there.
Yeah. It almost, I think, takes away from that to see the version of the Hulk in the Incredible Hulk, because while they give you a little bit of that at the very beginning when he transforms, then he kind of, like the way that they visualize him is he's just kind of a huge kind of bodybuilder type guy. Whereas the way that Whedon has him or that team has him in the Avengers, he kind of does the like ape-like gorilla stuff. So it just, he looks and moves and acts differently. So I just think it's better to let the Avengers introduce that and then go from there than to kind of have this weird thing in the background. But my only other thoughts, rather than just kind of going bit by bit, obviously the Winter Soldier is still excellent to me. The one thing that I was thinking, have you finished Guardians 2 yet? Or are you...
Haven't started it yet. Okay.
So I watched Guardians 3 not that long ago.
Still have not seen it since that era for me.
So yeah, I think I watched it kind of after Superman because I had really liked that movie and I was just kind of curious to compare them. And like I said, Guardians the first Guardians really is close to perfect. And we've talked about that over the years. I know I'm way higher on Guardians 2 than you, but I like Guardians 2. I like, the thing is,
play the music, sound the alarm. Here we go.
There's just stuff in there that I think works really well thematically. And like, I like what, like the more I dig into it, the more I like what Gunn does with Ego's character and kind of what Test is being presented to Peter and the way that it sort of transitions.
Why did you bring up Guardians 3? Because you didn't like it as much as you like Guardians 2? Is that
I wouldn't go that far, but I would say I think that the conversation has been sometimes that it's like Guardians 1 up here, Guardians 2 down here, Guardians 3 up a good bit, like closer to Guardians 1. And I just don't feel like it's that's not my experience. My experience is that it's a dip to Guardians 2, but more just the kind of standard sequel dip, like in the same way that like it's not as, to me, it's not as though there's a lot of stuff that's like poorly executed. Like I think some of the humor we've talked about is a bit more like it's either going to be your thing or it's not going to be your thing. Like James Gunn's going for a goofier type of humor.
Right.
But like there's a lot of stuff in that I really love, even beyond just the Yondu stuff. Like I like Mantis a lot, and the way that she's introduced is really funny. I actually do think that there are a couple of good moments with Drax that are overlooked. And I guess my other thing is I think Guardians 3, it has humor that's just as goofy. It's just maybe a little less like potty humor, which I also appreciate. But I don't know. I think that that trilogy, I'm curious to get your thought this time.
I have two thoughts right now, real quick. One, Guardians 3, I literally can't speak to it. It's one of the only MCU movies that I can't say that about. Maybe Deadpool and Wolverine, because I've only seen that probably twice. But I've probably only seen Guardians with you and then with my wife, and that's probably it. 3. So I'm looking forward to getting there, the third one, on this journey. And honestly, that's kind of the case for a lot of these, like Brave New World, even Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four. I think I've just seen in the theaters, and I haven't rewatched Fantastic Four yet, even though it's out. So like there are a lot of projects that I'm really excited to get through. You and I were working a rewatch with doing podcast episodes, and I think we got through Multiverse of Madness. So definitely I haven't seen anything beyond that. But I'm going to do the whole comprehensive thing. So one, I can't speak to Guardians 3. I remember liking it, but feeling like I haven't felt the desire to jump back into it for any reason. I liked it. I am more like what you were saying, like Guardians 1 up here, Guardians 2 all the way down here, and Guardians 3 kind of in the middle-ish. But you know this, my biggest concern with Guardians 2, not concern, the reason I didn't like it was because of the time period and how side story it was to the Infinity Saga. The further we get away from that, the more I'm going to view it as just a movie. And if I'm viewing it as a movie, it's going to go up in my book. I'm not saying it's going to, it's not going to climb to where you have it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've openly admitted I'm unfair to that movie on this podcast because I was like, oh man, we're getting going. And then it wasn't Infinity Stones. It wasn't Thanos. It wasn't any of that at all. It wasn't reference of the Avengers or anything, which is fine. But I was kind of mad at it for it. So yeah, I think it's going to only get better every time I watch it and every time I get a little further from it, for sure.
I also want you to look out for a couple of Easter eggs that we may have talked about way back, but I had totally forgotten if we did.
Okay.
I don't know if I realized that Peter's grandpa is in Guardians 2.
I guess I'm trying to think, like in a flashback?
No, I think he's outside of the Dairy Queen when the plant starts expanding.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that and I didn't realize that. I think I always just thought it was a random old couple, but I think that's him. And then I thought about that again because I think in the credits, the Guardians 2 credits are really fun, where kind of they have the animation stuff going and they're 4 different post-credit scenes.
Or 7 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot. But it's, James Gunn's thing, I think, is always to try to keep people engaged for the credits. And I think he shows up briefly, that actor in the credits. But there are a couple of Ragnarok shout outs that I had maybe known about but forgotten. In the credits, there's also a quick Jeff Goldblum appearance as the
Grandmaster.
And there's also in one of the scenes when they're going through all the the jumping points. I can't think about anything.
Yeah,
today.
Hey, you're a new
jump
dad.
Points.
Yeah, the portal thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but one of them, is Stan Lee talking to the Watchers, but another one is 2 of the Korg. Rock Cronins,
yeah.
Fighting.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Look a lot more like Korg, and so yeah, there were just some kind of fun things where it's I didn't realize that that Gunn was kind of setting up Ragnarok a little bit, which does make sense because it came out the same year.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, anyway. My last rewatch thought. Then I have one other TV film thought, and then we can call it. I think Doctor Strange has aged so well. It's one of the most, the best rising films in this rewatch. Every time I rewatch, I'm like, that's still, first of all, it still looks pretty cool. And the imagination of even, I guess now that we're in the multiverse era and we've seen Multiverse of Madness, I kind of forgot how much Doctor Strange 1 already sets the table for the multiverse.
Yeah.
They talk about that a lot. That Doctor Strange 2 was not the first time we started hearing about that. There's a lot of talk about it in the first one, and you get that whole trippy scene where you're kind of seeing glimpses of what this kind of could look like. Then you go to the dark dimension, which seems like another one with Dormammu. So in some ways, it's also a precursor for the saga we're in. That's the first thing. It looks amazing still. I think Benedict is pretty, and Rachel McAdams are pretty freaking settled in to what they're going to be right off the jump. And I don't think that that's the case on the rewatch for a lot of them. We've talked about Thor, Captain Marvel, even maybe the introduction of some people in Iron Man 2 or usually a Wanda in Age of Ultron. Not quite as good as we're going to get her to be eventually.
Yeah.
But in this movie, like Doctor Strange, like Stephen Strange feels pretty like Benedict feels like Stephen Strange right off the bat, I think.
Yeah.
And then lastly,
Agreed.
I just get really, really moved by, hold on, not lastly. I also want to say, I feel like the more I watch it, the more I realize it's not just a stand-in for Tony Stark. You know, like I think at first it was like, here's another mega rich guy, ego, blah, 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 has to get humbled.
Right.
I don't know. He's not charming. You know, he's bitter and angry.
Yeah.
And like Steven, you're kind of almost turned off at, like when Rachel McAdams shows up, Christine shows up to his apartment and he snaps on her. He says some really mean stuff.
Dude,
and
that's
I
such
feel
a good scene.
I
too.
feel like Christine, where I'm like, I'm just leaving, dude. Like you are not pleasant to be around. Whereas Tony is a jerk, but from the get-go, maybe jerk is not the word. That's the thing. From the get-go, he's a narcissist, but it's charming, even with the military people right off the bat. And I think there's a key difference there because the way Doctor Strange gets humbled looks different than it does for Tony, I think.
I feel like there's not a cruelty to Tony. Like, I think with Tony, it's more he just doesn't really care about other people that much. So he's kind of willing to... He's selfish and he's narcissistic in that he only thinks about himself, but you don't really see him lash out at other people in the same way. Whereas Strange, even before he has the accident, you see him like making a point to kind of put down the other surgeons. Yeah. So I think that you're right. There is a difference. I mean, I think Stan Lee had a bit of a template, which is why in the comics it can come off a bit more as like a bad guy or like selfish, arrogant guy that then gets brought low and then comes back a hero. But I think the way that it's done in the MCU, it like there's a lot of nuance there. And the other thing that I don't think I realized, having now kind of watched more Scott Derrickson movies, I think we talked about it as being a cookie cutter movie with, really cool trippy visuals. And I really do think it has a stamp on it. Like, I think that movie feels different from other MCU films in a way that I enjoy.
I take that back. Yeah, saying that. I also think...
I said that too.
The how do I say this? The progression of how Doctor Strange gets from here to here is paced perfectly. Like you don't feel like there's one specific moment that all of a sudden now he's a different person. Whereas Tony kind of has like this one Yinsen death moment of like, wow, I saw what my weapons did. Yeah. It's kind of crazy that he gets in this accident and that doesn't do it, right? Like that actually triggers a darker place, a more bitter place that he goes. And then his slow working out of it, I think, is paced perfectly, and Benedict acts it perfectly, still kind of jaded. Then he channels some of his bitterness in the middle of the movie into kind of like humor, but even the humor is almost kind of mean-spirited of sorts. Yeah. And then finally with it climaxing in this part where he's talking to the Ancient One, which is still some of the best dialogue that she's had to mess with the dark dimension, even though she knew Mordo wouldn't like it because she's trying to serve the greater good. And that's what she had to do. And the conversation where she's like, I've seen this moment a million times and yet like, I'm still afraid to die. Like I'm still pausing it and slowing time down so that I can have this conversation. It's not about you is very moving because you've bought into this story. It has been all about him. And even in this moment, after he's like become a sorcerer and he's about to die and all this stuff, even with that, he's still kind of thinking like, I could do this or I could do that. And even in that moment, then she goes like, it's still not about you. You've still missed the biggest point. This isn't about you. And then I have chills thinking about the reveal then of like the cape, the window and the music. The music is also awesome. So that's another thing.
Oh yeah.
So anyways, it was just such a good watch. My wife and I, Annika always liked that movie. You knew that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, man.
Candace too, actually.
I really liked it. I was kind of like at the end, I was like, it'd be kind of fun to have Scott Derrickson do another movie. I know that sounds crazy, but like,
dude, I had the same thought. And I also, it's that conversation so perfectly foreshadows the decision that Strange has to make at the end of Infinity War. You know, this idea of like having seen it a million times and all these different ways it can play out, but having to ultimately recognize that, like, one, it's not about you. So you have to make the decision that's best for everyone, which ultimately means him letting himself be dusted away and not holding the knife, right? Like, to go back to the Multiverse of Madness point, like he's kind of like giving that up and letting Tony be the one in control at that point, which is a very, like, that's a big jump from where he starts. So I love in the movie the way that he goes from initially being like not even disappointed, like angry with the Ancient One for doing this thing like for the greater good, even though it looks as though it's like she is doing the same kind of bad stuff that Caecilius is doing. Mm-hmm. But then that's the same thing that's going to now again happen with Strange and Infinity War that like Wanda talks about in Multiverse of Madness, where he makes this decision for the greater good that results in all of this stuff happening that a lot of people would say is terrible. And he's kind of, so it's just, it's an interesting gray area that he lives in, even that progression of him recognizing like him being the one to question the Ancient One and Mordo defending the Ancient One, and then it flipping at the end to where now Strange is like flexible enough and mature enough to understand that it's not black and white, and Mordo refusing to see it that way, which is why I also texted you.
Yeah, you'd like to see some Mordo follow up.
I would like that relationship. I think is just really interesting. The way that it's like, I like that at the end of
Mordo
Doctor Strange,
is rigid, forged by the fires of his youth. Yeah,
like I mean, even the conversation Mordo has with her, where he's like, you know, you gave me the strength to defeat my demons, and she's like, we never defeat our demons, we rise above them or something. But it's like,
and then he's like, wait, what? A little bit like,
yeah. It's like he wants to be able to see things, like she's trying to get him to live in this tension. And I think one of the things that's unique about Mordo as a character, like there aren't really other examples that I can think of, at least from the Infinity Saga, of characters that were kind of introduced as allies that then move into that villain space, sort of, but not so like, you know, it's like, it's not like Ironmonger, right? Where it's like, okay, now he's like a like maniac and is wanting like global domination or something. It's like,
like he even says, I'll help you, but then after this, I'm done. Like,
and you kind of see where he's coming from, and you like at the end, you get what's motivating him and why he's frustrated. And to his point where he's like, all of this wouldn't even be happening if not for the Ancient One messing with this in the first place. So it's not just that he's mad because she crossed the line.
He keeps saying the bill comes due, which we may find out in Doomsday is the case. If this is one of those events that you shouldn't have been messing with, theoretically.
Yeah.
Like he might have been right.
And maybe like, there's an argument that even now we look at what happens in Endgame, which technically paves the way for what happens in Loki, which could be seen as paving the way for like this entire multiversal, you know, so I
just kind of wonder if after we see Doomsday and Secret Wars, if Doctor Strange 1 is maybe even more essential viewing than Doctor Strange 2, which is crazy.
Yeah.
But that's what it kind of felt like when I was watching it. I'm with you. Mordo's awesome. I'd love some follow-up there. Yeah. So, okay, here's how I'll end it. We need to do our Age of Ultron commentary. We got so much good feedback on our Avengers commentary, and then I was watching that movie in my rewatch, and I was like, this would be fun to do again. It takes a long time for us because it's 2.5 hours of watching the movie, but I think we would enjoy it, and people have enjoyed listening to us talk about it. And I have a lot of things I could say about that movie when I do it.
Same.
Okay, so here's how I'm closing the episode today. I watched Pluribus. Did you watch the first 2 episodes of the show?
Okay.
I texted you.
So I saw your text. We watched the first episode. We still need to watch the second episode.
I mean, oh my gosh, right? Like, am I taking crazy pills? I don't know what came over me. like I am always the latest adopter of this stuff. So late of an adopter. But I saw one tweet or one person say it. And then long story short, we figured out because of our credit card, I can get Apple TV Plus for free. Doesn't matter, whatever. So we signed up for Apple TV, and I'm never this guy. It normally takes 10 people.
You already had Apple TV from Severance.
Canceled after Severance is done, and then I'll redo it. When Silo and Severance season 3 are up. But now I don't have to do that. But normally it takes like 10 people texting me like, Kyle, this is your show. This is your show.
Yeah.
And I've talked on this podcast a lot about how I'm always kind of looking to fill that void. I have this one void in my entertainment heart that is like these mystery, borderline thriller, can be post-apocalyptic, like weird, what is going on? And you just are desperately trying to figure out the rules of this new sci-fi world. And so like last year, a lot of shows filled that void, like Severance, Silo, Fallout, The Last of Us. They're all kind of in that same genre of, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even a little bit Chernobyl, even though that's historical more. But like kind of if you don't know the story, just trying to figure out how it's going to end. They all kind of fit into that same, like, this is so weird. And so I don't know what came over me, but I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I think this has I think this has a chance to fill that same void again. Like this could be another one of those things that I have to now watch every year until it's done. I thought it was so awesome. I thought it was so creepy. Like my wife will never watch this with me. So well done. So much like I want to know what's going to happen. So I'm going to watch this now on Fridays. So I'll be watching along. Maybe we do a screensaver episode on it at some point. The last thing I'll say, and I'm not spoiling anything, I'll talk really generically here. I have this fear with all TV. It's like the Lost thing. I really just kind of hope that it can deliver on the hype that it sets up. Like that's the question with all these suspense things. Even Silo season 2, like kind of was a little bit of a letdown based off what they set up in the first season. I get a little bit afraid with TV that business is going to step in. And so I kind of want to know, like if you told me this is 3 seasons, I'll watch every episode and be so stoked because I know that he has a plan for the whole thing. I don't really like this generic, like we kind of know how it's going to end, but we don't know how long it's going to go. Then you get this like season 3 and 4 of Lost kind of thing where you're wandering. Yeah. Like we know we're trying to get to this end point, but we got to fill all this time. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. Once you watch episode 2, I think you'll know what I'm talking about. Like we kind of settle in to what this is going to look like. And to me, it was less intriguing than episode 1 because episode 1 is like all the setting up of the suspense. Episode 2 is now kind of like living in the world of sorts. And I just kind of hope that 1, they can deliver is my point. And 2, that it doesn't go for 6 years of just like, here's all these side stories in this world. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. Those are my two kind of fears or questions of it.
No, for sure. I mean, and I do, to me, it's fun to see a Vince Gilligan show that is not in the Breaking Bad universe just because.
Although it does take place in Albuquerque, which is funny.
Yeah. Which, of course. But I do.
But totally. Like, it's totally fresh, different, new.
Yeah. Just because I like those. I like what I've seen of those shows. Candace and I I still need to go back and finish Breaking Bad because there was a point where I hit like a heaviness threshold and I was like, I need to step away. So it's just kind of nice that like the post-apocalyptic sort of sci-fi thriller type thing is just, it's just enough like into the fantasy realm for me to pick this up. Again, kind of like Severance-esque in that way. Not post-apocalyptic, but
right. But so weird and like not the normal world we live in.
But like the writing is so good, the acting is so good. So I do feel, the thing that everyone says about Breaking Bad is it has the kind of perfect TV arc. So I think that it, and I think people said the same thing about Better Call Saul in terms of it ending really well. So I think he has a history.
He said he has an ending already in mind.
Okay.
But he did also say he doesn't fully know if it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 2 years.
Yeah.
So that, but
Do you have HBO, right?
I do. I think is it yours? I don't think it's yours. I don't think it's yours. I think it's my friend Thomas.
I mean, you're
Shout out
welcome
Thomas.
to.
No.
Have you?
By the way, that's a larger
watching...
conversation. I was just going to say, there's an argument to be made that Apple has kind of taken over HBO as like the prestige original content. It's a little bit of a give and take because with Apple, you don't get any of the IP, which I think for some people and for a lot of different situations is a downside. Like there's not a catalog of movies on Apple TV. If that was your only streaming service, you can't go back and watch. Like when your daughter gets older, you can't go back and watch any of the shows that you're talking about, any of these Marvel movies. You can't watch Star Wars. You can't watch. And then even like Netflix has movies, like a catalog of film. Apple doesn't have that.
Not just Netflix originals.
But what they did, because they don't have that, is they have poured into a very small amount of shows, but made sure that every show is pretty spectacular. Like if it's on Apple at this point, it almost feels like it means, like just between Severance, Silo, this Pluribus, like The Studio,
Slow Horses,
Shrinking, like these are all like dominating their categories, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Anyways, but what were you going to say about HBO?
And
then we should go.
I love The Studio as well. HBO though, have you watched or heard anything about The Chair Company?
Nope, never heard of that.
Oh man. Okay. It's like midway through and it's like my favorite comedy in, I mean,
Whoa.
I don't even know how long it's been. Candace and I are like
I'm gonna look it up.
laughing out loud, like losing it through every episode. It's Tim Robinson, who I like from I Think You Should Leave. People, I feel like Friendship was a big on ramp for a lot of people into his stuff with Paul Rudd, and this is from the same director and co-writer.
I see outtakes from either his sketches or it might be from Friendship with that guy he does that co-writer with. Is it? Let me see if it's this guy. That make me laugh so hard. Where he's sitting at the drum set. Have you seen this? And his friend walks in the garage.
That is
Dude,
Friendship.
like I am like crying laughing. There's one where he's talking about the Goonies and they're just like, there's clearly all improv and they're just making it up. And his friend is so funny to me. Whoever that friend is. His friend just says he's like, do you mean like do the adventure like the Goonies or remake the Goonies the movie? And he's like, I don't know. I just love to be a part of something. I'd love to be a part of something. It makes me so happy for some reason.
Have you seen Friendship yet?
No, I feel like I'd like it.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, you definitely would. But this show is...
Sorry, The Chair Company. Sorry, I hijacked that. Go ahead.
No, it's like actually really similar vibe. I think it's better than Friendship so far. And it's so funny, but it's also kind of got this surreal, like almost thriller stuff at certain points. It's a truly unique show. And it's like the show that Candace and I are... like most looking forward to watching every week.
Do you think I would like it?
I think so. I don't know if Annika would or not.
She
I could see
won't.
it going
I know
both
that.
ways.
I already know she won't. But
I could see her. I can't figure out the humor piece if she would like it or not. But
we don't share the Tim Robinson humor.
Yeah,
we don't share that humor.
But yeah, I do want to hear what you think about that show. There are 5 episodes out, I think.
All right. All right.
And I think it had like the biggest premiere of like an HBO comedy in 5 years or something.
Okay.
So I think it's been a big hit for them so far. But
another side story we got to talk about at some point. In Smart List, they talk all the time about what happened to the comedy. I feel like comedies are kind of coming back a little bit.
Yeah.
In general, there's been a couple films, like I'm blanking right now off the top of my head, but there have been a couple movies that
The Naked Gun.
Yeah, for sure.
Which was
more recently too.
Also.
I'm blanking, but anyways, I have to see that too. But like that apparently our comedy's making a comeback. Dude, this has been so much fun. It's good to talk to you again. For our listeners, not only has Robby been on paternity leave, I haven't talked to you at all. Like maybe one text every week. So it's good to hear from you.
It's been like
it's good to see your
almost
face.
a month. I feel like since we really got to do it. So
I know. And just to our listeners, like we will be back next year. we're figuring some stuff out. One, Robby is a new dad, but two, what this looks like when there's so long where there's no content. So like there's not really a point of us jumping back on here to just not give you updates every once in a while. I don't know.
No, but I mean, it does sound like we've, I think that there's a trickle of stuff coming out about Wonder Man. And I know that like, I think we're supposed to get a trailer for Doomsday like next month, which is crazy.
Right.
So I think we'll have some stuff to start discussing bit by bit.
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Absolutely. I was gonna say we for sure will have an episode when that trailer comes out, maybe even live right away would be amazing. That'll be, by the way, think about it for 1 second. It's gonna work. When you see the trailer, people are gonna lose their mind, good or bad. It's gonna be a thing immediately.
I mean, it's the first Avengers trailer that we've gotten since
like 7 years, right? Literally 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's the crazy thing is, I mean, it's been
so long. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, it will be over 7 years when it comes out since.
And you and I have never covered an Avengers movie. Doing this podcast for this long, we're coming up on season 7, right? We're coming up on season 7 and we haven't covered an Avengers movie. And we will next year. But then, by the way, like obviously that I want to do another bold predictions episode where we follow up on ours because I'd love to see what we said about this year, 2025.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'll do the friendlies because there was some content to do the friendlies for. So there will be stuff. And then Wonder Man is mid-January. So, and then obviously people know this, but next year is going to be almost like 2022-esque crazy, I think. In that like Wonder Man's going to almost, if it's 8 episodes, it's going to end on like Daredevil starting. There might be a Punisher special or an animated show in there. And if not, you're going to get X-Men 97 right into Brand New Day, which will be a month worth of content regardless.
Yeah.
And then Vision Quest, which will almost run us into like your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, X-Men 97, right into Doomsday, which will be like 6 weeks worth of prepping for it. And so it'll be
a fun year.
For sure. It will be. It's going to be, it might be the biggest year in MCU history. That's my argument. We'll see how it goes.
Which is wild. Yeah.
Which is wild. We love all you guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting. We'll see you back here next time on Friends from Work.